Have you ever dreamed of owning your own professional studio? Or wondered if it's smarter to just focus on creating with your own gear? As someone who owns both a studio and my own video production equipment, I have learned that the choice isn't as simple as it seems. In this video, I'll share my experience, break down the pros, the cons, and the surprising truths that can help you decide what's best for your creative journey and your budget. So right over here, there are two kinds of approaches. Starting with number one, owning a studio. Now, what does it mean to own a studio? So when we talk about owning a studio, number one, we get to have the space. Number two, we get to have the equipments. And number three, the infrastructure. We can, modify our space and, turn it into whatever kind of set that we want to have. That's the best flexibility which we can have as a studio owner. So when you own a studio, you get to have that creative freedom and to create the content that you always wanted to. Now, owning a studio does sound great, but let's get to the real point. Who is this suitable for? Now, I'll be honest with you, owning a studio isn't for everyone. Owning a studio can be beneficial only for like production houses, full-time filmmakers, and many more, because with owning a studio, like such as the big production houses, they can rent out the space to people for like $50 or $100 an hour, depending upon the type of space that they are looking for, and they can utilize the space they are using at the moment and gaining some extra income. So that's the reason why owning a studio may not be for everyone. So the second approach over here is owning your video production, or owning your video equipments. So what happens when you own your own video production equipments? Number one, you get to focus on creating high quality videos using portable gears or rented gears. So if you own your own production, like, who can your target audience be? So your target audience can be freelancers, some small business owners, and there are n number of clients that you can approach and reach out to, such as it may be a small or growing YouTubers as well. So when owning a studio, there are some factors to consider, such as renting a studio space, paying utilities, and maintaining the equipment. Whereas owning video gears equals buying high quality video gear for mobile production and occasional renting for specific needs. So let's say studio rent costs around $500 per month, with utilities such as electricity, internet, etc. costing around like $100 a month, and let's say we keep $50 a month for maintenance and repair. For video gear ownership, the initial gear investment will be for camera, lights, audio, etc., which may come to around like $5,000, and that will be one-time investment. And some occasional rentals for specialized shoots, let us skip that for like $200 a month. So the key insight over here is owning a studio will cost you around $7,800 a year, whereas owning gears will cost you around $50 to $100 for the first years, including rentals. For the subsequent years, studio ownership will cost you around $7,800 yearly, including recurring, and gear ownerships drops to around like $2,400 a year, and that too only for rentals. The even breaking point: if you use the studio heavily and generate consistent revenue, it may justify the higher recurring cost. Whereas gear ownership becomes more efficient about 2 to 3 years, especially for independent creators. Now let us talk about flexibility. So if you want to own a studio such as I do, you can have the flexibility of managing the space and the kind of sets that you want to create for your shoots. Number one, you can have your equipments anywhere you would like to, and you have the space to create whatever kind of sets that you want to create, which I kind of think if you are like renting a studio, you may not have that kind of flexibility which you may have with your own studio. So now if you are someone who owns video production equipments and you do not own your studio, but the plus point that you have over here is you can shoot anywhere you want. You have that kind of flexibility. You can be in your living room, you can be in your bedroom, you can be in your kitchen, or you can be outside as well, creating whatever you can and you want to. But the only thing that you lack over here is a controlled studio. So when we talk about scaling, studio can be really beneficial if you are scaling up with a team. Now, owning a studio does not mean that you are going to be working alone over here. Now, if you are owning a huge production house or a huge studio, of course you will be needing some people who are going to be working out there. If you do not have anyone, what's the use of owning a huge production house when you're the only person who is going to be working out there? Now right over here I just have two sections. This right over here, this portion where I'm speaking right now is where I mostly do my work. I have my workstation over here. I spend most of the time over here, and the space just beside me over here is also my workspace where I create those commercials, and I do practice right over here. And if you go to the other side, there's my lounge, where my clients can come here, sit, have a chat, discuss some ideas back and forth. And also whenever my team comes, we sit around there, we share ideas back and forth, we give our creative vision and we write it down and we summarize it, which helps us to get our desired results out. Now let us talk about why owning your own equipments can be better. So it can be better if you are a solo individual such as me. I do most of my creating, content, this and that kind of a thing, by myself. So if I was an individual who did not own a studio, then having all these gears can also be really beneficial, because all that you need may be just a small space to create awesome content for YouTube or as well as for your clients. So let us quickly talk about pros and cons of each, starting with studio ownership. The pros: with studio ownership, we get to have professional control. It may be appealing to our clients, and we get to have optimized workflows. The cons about studio ownership is the high setup cost, ongoing expenses, and less flexibility for location suits. Now let us talk about owning video gear. The pros about owning video gear is we get to have mobility, lower cost, and versatility for various projects. The cons about owning video gear is less controlled environment, and we may need frequent rentals for high-end gear. Case studies or scenarios. Scenario 1. A startup with a limited budget opts for renting studio time. Explanation. Imagine a small business that's just starting, like a local bakery trying to make promotional videos for social media. They do not have the budget to invest in a professional studio or a high-end equipment. Instead, they decide to rent a studio for $50 an hour. Here's the reasoning. Point number 1. They do not need a studio every day, just a few times a month for specific campaigns. Number 2, renting allows them to access professional grade specs without long-term commitments. Third, they can hire a videographer who already has portable gears, saving them from buying equipment. So the takeaway for you all is, for startups or businesses with irregular video needs, renting a studio is cost-effective and removes the burden of ownership. It's like paying for what you need when you need it. Could this be you? Renting a studio might save your budget. Case study 2. A filmmaker invests in their own studio for steady projects. Explanation. Now let's look at an independent filmmaker who works on music videos, commercials, and short films. This person has consistent clients and shoots multiple projects every month. They decide to invest in their own studio. Here's why. Point number 1. Owning a studio means they have permanent, customizable space. They do not have to spend time and money renting different locations. They can build an environment optimized for this style of filming, example, soundproofing, and custom backdrops. So let us do a quick math over here. If renting a studio costs around $50 an hour, if they shoot for 20 hours a month, that's around $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. By owning a studio for $500 a month, they save $6,000 a year. Additionally, the studio becomes an asset and they can rent it out to other creators for extra income. If you have irregular projects and clients, owning a studio can save money in the long run and offer more creative control. Are you ready to take the leap? Think about your workflows and client needs. So answer me this, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? So I have some scenarios over here which may help you out. Starting with scenario number 1, scaling up. If your goal is to scale your business, having a studio gives a foundation to grow. Example, a wedding videographer planning to expand into corporate projects might benefit from owning a studio where they can shoot green screen interviews, product videos, and client presentations. So the long-term benefit over here that you may have is the studio becomes an asset and a potential revenue stream if rented out. Scenario number 2 over here is staying flexible. If you value creative flexibility or travel a lot, owning a portable video gear might be better. Example, a travel vlogger or a documentary filmmaker who might need lightweight, versatile equipment they can carry anywhere. So the long-term benefit is you can stay mobile and adapt to diverse shooting conditions which a fixed studio cannot offer. On to the next scenario number 3. Mixed approach. Example, a YouTuber might start with a small basic equipment and later invest in a studio to host live shows or collabs. Does your dream involve a permanent space to create, or do you see yourself moving around with your work? Drop your 5 years vision in the comments. How much can you spend upfront versus recurring cost? Example, owning a studio requires steady monthly payments such as rentals, utilities. Second, creative vision. Does your work require a controlled environment like a studio or flexibility like portable gears? Example, product photographers often benefit from studio ownership, while videographers thrive with mobile gears. 3. Workload and frequency. How often do you shoot? If it's daily or weekly, a studio might be worth it. If it's occasional, renting or owning portable gears is more practical. Example, a wedding videographer might only need gear as most shoots happen on location. Clients and revenue. Are your clients willing to pay for premium services? Corporate clients may expect a studio setup, while lifestyle influencers can often shoot outdoors or at a themed locations. Future opportunities. Will owning a studio or gear open doors for additional income stream? A studio can be rented to other creators, while gears can be used for freelance projects. Now, take a moment to write down all your answers to these 5 questions. This exercise will help you make the best decision for your creative journey. Deciding between owning a studio and investing in your video gears ultimately comes down to your individual goals. A studio offers control and professionalism, making it ideal for creators with steady client base and the means to maintain it. On the other hand, portable gears provide flexibility, affordability, and creative freedom, perfect for those who thrive on mobility and adaptability. As someone who owns both a studio and video production equipment, I have learned that there is no one-size-fits-all solutions. Start by assessing your current situation, envision your long-term goals, and choose the path that aligns best with your creative journey. Whether you pick a studio or gear or a combination of both, what matters most is your ability to bring your vision to life and create impactful content. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and hit that subscribe button to join our creative community. Do not forget to share this video with your fellow filmmakers and creators. As this is the last video of 2024, I had so many more in my inventory, but I got busy with a couple of other things and this and that, as a result of which I wasn't able to upload it here on time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. More amazing content are gonna come in 2025. Finally, I can say that this is the last video of this year from my side. So without any further ado, let us end this video right over here. Wishing you all a happy new year. So I'll be seeing you all in 2025.